Football, we got a great one. 5:15 tonight. Rams taking on the Seahawks in Seattle. This is the rematch of the game a month ago when the Rams beat the Seahawks 21-19 in LA. Darnold did have 4 picks on the night. Seattle is currently a 1.5 point favorite with the point total set at 42.5. And San Diego State men's basketball had a big W last night against Air Force, winning by 23, 81-58. BJ Davis had a big night with 19 off the bench. Choosing the right home service company isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about trusting who's in your home. That's why homeowners count on Anderson for friendly, professional service that keeps everything running right. Visit AndersonPHA.com.
And let's get it going on a Thursday. What's going on, everybody? Ben, Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2 o'clock today. John and Jim will take over then. We got a busy one ahead. For my money, the biggest game of the NFL season to date. I think that's fair to say. Seattle Seahawks hosting the Los Angeles Rams tonight up in Seattle. A game you could hear right here on San Diego Sports 760. Going to be a huge one tonight with the fate of the NFC on the line. Cannot wait for this game. As Sammy's going to tell you a little bit in the big three, the ramifications of this game spread out far beyond the Los Angeles Rams and the Seattle Seahawks, but it will actually go a long way to determine who is going to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. We'll get to that in just a little bit. San Diego State Aztecs got the dub last night over the Air Force Academy. It was a closely played first half. It was a dominant second half for the Aztecs, led by a surge from BJ Davis, who, if you were in the building last night, that place got loud. It got rocking as BJ Davis ripped off an 11-1 run by himself, or 11-2 run by himself against the Air Force Academy. A fun night at Viejas Arena was had by all. But let's start off with this game tonight up in Seattle. Now, if you remember, a few weeks ago, the Seattle Seahawks played against the Los Angeles Rams in LA, and that was a hotly contested game. It was a back and forth game for the most part. Sam Darnold throws 4 interceptions, but is able to get the Seahawks in position to win the game with a lengthy field goal at the last second. The field goal was missed. The Seattle Seahawks dropped behind the Rams in the division and in the conference, and now tonight have an opportunity to take all the power right back from the Los Angeles Rams. So with a win tonight, the Seahawks have an opportunity to win out for the rest of the season and be the 1 seed in the NFC. With a win tonight, the Seattle Seahawks also help out the San Francisco 49ers, who would be in the exact same situation if they win out the rest of the way.
Ben's excited, can't you tell?
They're the number 1 team in the NFC. If the Rams win tonight, they control their own destiny and can go all the way and win the NFC. So I love it when you have situations like this in the NFL where you have just such branching possibilities for all different teams in the postseason. And I also love it on a day like a Thursday today when Sammy Long forgets to wear his glasses.
I know. So I'm having this real dilemma. So this has happened multiple times, and I'm going to get clowned.
Just wear the stunner shades, bro.
I'm going to look like a douche. I don't know if I can say that on the radio.
Sure you can.
But people are going to tune in at the 1 o'clock hour and be like, this guy's wearing his shades. I switched my car today because I ran out of gas and I was running a little bit behind. So I took my mom's car and I forgot my glasses. So yeah, that's why I look like an ass. But
as long as you can play the song as often as possible today. I wear my sunglasses at night so I can be cool.
You know what? Text line is already shouting out. We had a long shots winner last night, so you know what? I'm gonna wear the sunglasses and not feel bad.
How about it? I didn't actually see what happened in the NBA game, but BJ Davis, I know after scoring 2 points in the first half, he went off in the second half, scored 17 points in the second half by himself. So was that a 2Z winner?
It was a 2Z winner. Naz Reid at 16 against the Memphis Grizzlies. So happy about that. BJ Davis, we all know, had a huge night, especially in that second half, hitting back-to-back threes. That logo 3 was fantastic, stepping out to NBA range. But yeah, so big night. Yes, I am wearing sunglasses, so I look like an ass, but I appreciate everyone.
You look fantastic, Sammy, and I want you to be nice to my friend Sammy Long as we get going on this Thursday.
But back to what you were saying about the game.
I can't wait for this game.
Yes,
I think it's going to be fantastic. These are the 2 heavyweights of the NFC to this point in the season. 2 teams who have been in our top 5 essentially all year long since about week 5. And these 2 teams going at it, this is as good as it gets in the NFL this year.
We talked about how when we gave our power rankings top 5 the other day, the winner of this game will be number 1 on my list. I'm assuming Ben's list as well. I mean, you're looking at two teams. It's going to tell you a lot because that game, we do go back a month. Let's go back to that game in Los Angeles, and Darnold throws 4 interceptions. And if you would have told anyone that Darnold throws 4 interceptions before the game, you're thinking a Rams blowout. Wasn't even close. Game didn't live up to the hype, but it did. It was 21-19 that the Rams actually won, and they had a shot to win it on a late field goal. They couldn't get in field goal range. They attempted a super long kick, and it didn't go through the uprights. But like this game tonight, Sam Darnold, real legacy game for Sam Darnold, because I think people still have that kind of feeling when it comes to Sam Darnold of he puts up big numbers. He put up big numbers last year with Minnesota, but we all know how that season ended, the last game of the year against the Lions, and then taking on the Rams actually in that playoff game. Remember that got moved because of the LA wildfires out to Phoenix. Didn't play well in that. Didn't play well in this game.
27-9 win by the Rams, by the way.
Right. It didn't play well in this game against the Rams last month, but it's a testament to how good the Seahawks are is that he throws 4 interceptions and they lose by 2 points on the road. So huge game for Sam Darnold tonight. If the Rams win it, I don't know how you can make a case that they aren't the best team in the NFL if they win this game tonight. But yes, the NFL for Thursday Night Football that gets crushed a lot for maybe not having the best matchups. This matchup is must-watch TV tonight. Super excited for this one. Can't wait.
And for conspiracy theorists out there, the script would say Seattle wins this game tonight because if you look forward a few weeks, it is Seattle, San Francisco in the final week of the regular season. I'm sure the NFL would love to flex that game into Sunday Night Football with the NFC on the line. So if the script writers are out there, this is a win for Seattle tonight, and maybe you take that out to Vegas and do what you will with it. All right, it's San Diego Sports 760. Let's get to the first big 3 of the day. We have a packed day with college football playoffs starting tomorrow. One of the biggest games of the NFL season coming up later tonight. And with San Diego State about to hit the road to take on the number 1 team in the country in the Arizona Wildcats.
Exciting weekend.
Woo, it's going to be a lot of fun. Sebe, smash it.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big 3.
All right, Sammy, where are we going?
We're actually heading to the Seahawks in your Niners, Fletch. I'm curious your thoughts on this. So Fletch mentioned a couple minutes ago, Bram Schefter put this tweet out. If the Seahawks beat the Rams tonight, then both Seattle and San Francisco will control their own destiny, have the NFC West title on the line, and the NFC's number 1 seed in their sights. They play at the end of the season. Who has more pressure to go on a deep playoff run, Brock Purdy or Sam Darnold?
See, it is a funny conversation to have, and I will try to give the most honest and true take that I have in my head about this, because obviously I am a little biased in this one, and I'm a 49ers fan. But here's what I'll say. They both have a lot of excuses, and they truly do. This is Sam Darnold's first year with the Seattle Seahawks, and you'd still feel like with the Seahawks and the way they've built this thing, it's like next year and the year after that are the 2 years that they're expecting to really have the Super Bowl window open. By the way, Sam Darnold and this defense has played this year, and as well as Jackson Smith-Njigba taking over as wide receiver 1 after DK Metcalf left during the offseason. It's worked a lot faster than a lot of people thought it would for the Seattle Seahawks, but they still have a few years here in the Super Bowl window. That would lead me to think that the Niners have more pressure on them in this situation. However, the 49ers' entire defense got hurt by the time week 5 rolled around this year. Now, Robert Saleh has a very young defense working very hard, but if there is going to be a downfall this year, that's what it's going to be. So I look at the 49ers and the Seahawks, and the cop-out answer is to say, well, it's kind of equal because they both have a ton of excuses, and they both have a ton of reasons why this isn't the year for the Super Bowl run. But Brock Purdy's going to have more pressure because Brock Purdy is the more well-known quantity at this point and have a lot of people like Sammy Long who think he's not the guy to get the 49ers to a Super Bowl.
I mess with Fletch a lot.
You sure do.
So this question I was debating on the way in because I know
the Chiefs are going to be watching at their resort in Cancun, so that's fun.
Okay, so see now I was going to have a very measured take, and now you're pissing me off. All right, this is not the day for that. Okay?
You're pissing me off in my glasses.
My quarterback's recovering from an ACL, and you're making fun. Ben Fletcher, class act. But in terms of this, they're pressure for different reasons.
Never claimed to be a class act.
Sam Darnold has the pressure of people don't. Both quarterbacks have the people don't believe in them. Now, Brock Purdy, to his credit, did get to a Super Bowl, so he has gone farther in the playoffs than Sam Darnold has.
And be honest, he played well in the Super Bowl.
Well, he missed Ayuk in the back of the end zone, and maybe you'd actually have a playoff Super Bowl win. But besides that, we don't need to get into that game. We can play highlights anytime. And that was a fun game. But Sam Darnold has what we were talking about a few minutes ago. He lost the big game last year to get the number 1 seed against the Lions and didn't play well in it. Lost the game against the Rams. Didn't play well in it. Lost the game against the Rams this year. Didn't play well in it. So the narrative around Sam Darnold, despite the fact that he has been hindered by he played for the Jets, played for the Panthers, started 3-0, but then McCaffrey gets hurt and kind of fizzles out the rest of the year, is he can't win the big games. So I think there's less excuses for Sam Darnold to go out early in the playoffs. But having said that, Darnold's job is not in jeopardy for next year. And Brock Purdy, you go, Sammy, what? He just got paid. What are you talking about? So Brock Purdy's not going anywhere. There's a lot of Niner fans that go, if Brock Purdy flames out in the first round, and Brock Purdy has the excuse, it's a very valid excuse, of that the defense is not healthy. When you lose Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, your two best players, that's in Michael Williams, the young pass rusher, that's going to be understandable. But if Brock Purdy is the reason they lose and he doesn't play well and the defense shows out, because to be fair to the Niners, the defense has actually been playing pretty good ball despite not having those guys the last month or two, Mac Jones sitting right behind it. And there's gonna that voice, that Niner crowd is gonna go, wait, Mac Jones looked like an absolute superstar, beat this Rams team early in the year, and Brock Purdy's making all this money. Now, I don't know what you would do with Brock Purdy because he's making all that money. I don't know how many teams would want that contract to restart with Brock Purdy. But so tonight, again, not to cop out, I'm going to lean Sam Darnold because at least Purdy has won big playoff games before. He came back down big against the Lions, so he's proven that. But if Brock Purdy puts up a stinker, the next question is, where is Mac Jones? Is that fair, Ben?
No, it's not fair because Brock Purdy has the contract. Mac Jones is going to be traded to a different team coming up here very
You're telling me that if Brock Purdy throws 4 picks in a playoff game.
Well, yeah.
No, I'm being honest. If he does not, if the offense is the reason the Niners lose in a playoff game, you're telling me there's not going to be a large portion of the Niners fan base that goes, why aren't we looking at Mac Jones?
For sure. There will be. I think more of them would be saying, why aren't we trading the next 5 years of our draft for Joe Burrow? If I'm being completely honest, because Mac Jones feels a little more lateral. Mac Jones, very immobile quarterback, is honestly not designed perfectly for the Kyle Shanahan offense, but we could go down this rabbit hole forever. What's next, Sammy?
We're sticking with the NFL. Bill Barnwell ranks potential head coaching openings. Again, not all these are open yet, but he ranked potentiality, what they're hearing. So I'm going to read them 1 through 8, 1 being the best job to have to the worst. Bengals 1, Cardinals 2, Browns 3, Titans 4, Giants 5, Falcons 6, Dolphins 7, Raiders 8. Do you agree with that list? Do you think the Bengals are the best head coaching opening?
No. Where was the Giants on that list?
Giants are 5.
That's way too low.
That's what I thought too.
I think the Giants is an incredible opening, especially if you're an offensive head coach, because that offense is just bursting with young talent. Cam Scatterbo, Jackson Dart, Malik Neighbors, and an offensive line that needs work, but the foundation is there. I look at the Giants, who just got Abdul Carter in last year's draft, and he looks very good this year. I got the Giants as my favorite opening in the NFL heading into next season. The Bengals, look, you got a quarterback who's in a pissy mood right now. That's the one thing you need to know if you're going in to be the head coach. Is job number 1 is to make sure that the franchise guy is the franchise guy for the next 10 years. And that's going to be a hard path to follow with the way Joe Burrow is talking right now. I don't know if I buy into it totally that he's going to be requesting a trade this offseason. But the fact of the matter is there's a relationship there that needs to be mended. And I don't think necessarily it's Joe Burrow to Zach Taylor. I think it's Joe Burrow to ownership, Joe Burrow to decision makers who have just ignored the defense for what feels like 10 years at this point. So the Bengals is not close to the top of my list. In fact, they may be down below the Giants for sure, above the Raiders for sure, but somewhere in the middle. I don't know. The Bengals should not be the number 1 team.
The Bengals are the Padres. No, think about it.
Well,
no, hold on. Think about the comparison. They have stars. They have a lot of talent on the team. But do we have faith in ownership that they're going to spend money and do enough that needs to be done to win? Because the Bengals have historically been a franchise, which even for the NFL, which is shocking, because the NFL and the NBA, you have to spend a certain amount, is not known for extending players, is known for not always doing the necessary things to win. I mean, think about what the Bengals have. The Bengals have a top 5 quarterback, no doubt.
And when he's been fully healthy, he's either finished in the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl.
Right. You could make an argument he's a top 3 quarterback, and I don't think you're crazy for that. Joe Burrow is an unbelievable player. You have maybe the best receiver in all of football in Jamar Chase, a superstar receiver in T. Higgins, a great pass rusher in Trey Hendrickson. They've failed to get the offensive line right. They've failed to get the defense right. They let Lou Anarumo go, who was kind of the Mahomes killer for a minute there before Mahomes beat him in the AFC title game the second year. Lou Anarumo was a great D coordinator that then ended up leaving because they didn't want to pay him. I don't see the Bengals as the top job at all. Obviously, if Joe Burrow's there, it's going to be somewhat appealing because you have a big time quarterback. But I'll go to number 8. Let's look at the Raiders. I agree with everything you said about the Giants. The Giants would be the most attractive opening because you have a lot of young talent with Neighbors, Dart, Scatterbo, and a top pick. But let's look at the Raiders for a second. You have Brock Bowers, maybe the best young tight end in the game. Ashton Genty, who looks like a superstar running back. You're going to be picking. We have a problem with Ashton Genty now?
I think he's been misused, but this year I don't think he's shown anything to necessarily say he's that next guy.
I'm putting a lot of that more on the offensive line. The fact that they're trailing in games. They're going to have a top pick at quarter. Can possibly get a quarterback. Maybe they're getting Mendoza. We'll see where they end up finishing up. You have Max Crosby. Like, I think the Raiders are a job that I 8th opening over the Titans and the Browns and the Cardinals and teams like that. I think the Raiders would be an interesting spot actually for someone, but I don't know if Pete's going to get fired.
All right, we're running out of a little bit of time, so let's save your final story for the other side. I do want to just at least acknowledge this. It was on our YouTube chat, and it has been confirmed, unfortunately, but Greg Biffle, the Biff, NASCAR legend, in 2005, he had 6 wins in 1 year, 19 career victories in the world of professional racing. Plane crash, a plane that he owned, that unfortunately him and his family, including his children, were on board of, crashed earlier today. And Greg Biffle, as confirmed in the news right now, has passed away today, involved in a plane crash. Horribly sad news. SD Tyler bringing that up earlier today. John Silva on YouTube also saying terribly sad news. The sports world, the NASCAR world, definitely lost a legend today. And the Biff, rest in peace. Man, that's a very, very sad story that's come out here today. All right, coming up next, let's get to that Aztecs win from last night. Plus, we'll finish up the big 3 on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. And we do want to congratulate all of our $5,000 winners in iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher powered by Donors Choose. There's still time for you to nominate a public school teacher making a difference. And maybe they'll be one of our next winners of $5,000 to make over their classroom. We're actually doing another round of this coming up here in a couple weeks. So get your nominations in now. Help us say thank you to the educators who are shaping our future. Nominate your favorite teacher now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. Teachers go out of their own salary, their own pocket to help make the experience the best it can be for your children. I know my wife spends a ton of our money and her own money on her classroom each and every year to try to make it as good as possible for the kiddos. So if you have a teacher in mind, or if you don't, just use Mrs. Fletcher. Get over to iHeartRadio.com/teachers. Sammy, what was your teacher's name that you always wanted to nominate for this?
Oh, Profe Musico. I see her at the gym all the time. She's the best. I learned the most Spanish under her. Unfortunately, the teacher I had after her did not like me in Spanish class, and I kind of bailed out of it.
Salvador. Cannot believe you, Salvador.
Yeah, but Profe Musico, shout out to you.
Watch the show on YouTube at San Diego Sports 760, on X at Fletch and Sammy. You got to check out these stunning shades that Sammy be wearing today, yo. He looks good in them. He really does. But
people are like, who the hell does this guy think he is?
Who do you think you are? Is actually where I was going to go with that, Sammy. Who do you think you are?
I'm me. I'm Sammy Long. I see. I'm like literally blind. Like I can't see. I got astigmatism in my left eye. So if I don't wear glasses, these are prescription. I'm cooked.
All right. Well, where was big three, number 3?
We were heading to the college football playoff. We're going to look at the two teams that in Miami and Alabama. So the controversy around both of them. You had Alabama, who lost in the SEC title game, got blown out, barely beat Auburn the week before, but did not fall at all. And then you got Miami, who got in the last spot over Notre Dame, who a lot of people felt should have been in. Who has more to prove in the college football playoff to go farther to justify them being in?
It does kind of feel like Alabama does because of the name recognition. Look, Miami has been a really fun story all year long. Miami, it kind of feels like over the last couple of seasons, all of a sudden Miami power football is back. And it's something that we've been missing for a while. But the world of college football is better when Miami's great. And it always has been the case. And over the last couple of seasons, they're starting to get back to that form. So Miami is kind of the fun story that the country's rooting for. Alabama has the pressure because everyone's rooting against Alabama. And so they got some stuff to prove, especially their head coach, Kalen DeBoer, who says he's not interested in any of the other jobs and he's loyal to Alabama. But what does an early exit in the college football playoff mean for Kalen DeBoer? Does Alabama even want him back?
Right. Well, that's kind of it's amazing how one game, if you look at Alabama, Kalen DeBoer, he's been heavily linked to Michigan. If you're Kalen DeBoer, like if you win this game and go on a run, you're an Alabama legend.
And Alabama loves you and they want you back. But if you lose to Oklahoma right off the jump,
then he might be jumping ship to Michigan, assuming they still want him. Now, I think they will because he did look very good when he took Washington to the championship game and actually lost that Michigan team. But, right, does Alabama want you back? I'm going to go with Miami, though, in this sense. I think there's more changes if Alabama loses because I think if you're looking at Miami, Mario Cristobal, Carson Beck, they brought over on a big NIL deal from Georgia. I think Miami should have been in. Like to begin with, it was BS how the committee handled it. Like when I hear Notre Dame fans complain, like I get it. Were you probably a top 12 team in the country? Yes.
Well, Miami and Notre Dame should have been in.
Right. But it's
probably Tulane or James Madison. One of those two teams needed to not be in, and Miami and Notre Dame both should have been in.
Right. You should have been mad at that because it is BS that Tulane and James Madison, if the betting lines hold and we're looking at what's going on, are probably getting destroyed this weekend. And you're looking at hopefully only 2 games that are good in the college football playoff in the opening weekend. I think Notre Dame and Miami should have been in. The problem was how the committee handled it. Like, how do you have Notre Dame over Miami, which I didn't think should have been in the first place because Miami beat them head to head in week 1. And don't give me that. Well, they only lost by 3 points. They still lost. And then you flip them when neither of them are in action. So I just hope this college football playoff weekend is, I hope for college football's sake that this Oklahoma, Alabama, and then A&M and Miami game are good because the chances of James Madison putting up a fight against Oregon or Tulane putting up a fight against Ole Miss are very slim to none. Again, that's why we love sports. Maybe there's some massive upset that we're talking about, but it would really be a shame if every single one of these opening round matchups are complete blowouts.
Now, here's the big question. Say Miami does get past Texas A&M. Do they stand any chance against Ohio State?
They do have the front 7
say Alabama does get past Oklahoma, do they have any chance against Indiana?
They have Alabama's problem is they can't run the football, but they have three of the best receivers in the country.
Sure.
So they could kind of go. It'd be fun to see Ty Simpson versus Fernando Mendoza. Two potential. Mendoza going to be the top pick. Ty Simpson likely going to be a top pick. But Miami, though, everyone forgets, was the number one team in the country, kind of close to it. And seeing them against Ohio State would be fun in the second round.
All right, we got Eric Williams coming up next. You remember E-Dub? He used to write here in San Diego back when the Chargers were still here. E-Dub is going to join us coming up next. Now he covers the NFL for Fox. He also still has a close eye on Phillip Rivers like we all do, but he's going to help us preview tonight's Rams-Seahawks game. On the other side, it's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by Macy's Backstage. Huge Thursday night football matchup tonight at 5:15. Rams heading into Seattle to take on Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. These two met a month ago where the Rams beat them in their home stadium. Darnold threw 4 picks on the night, but they did win 21-19. Seattle's currently a 1.5 point favorite with the point total set at 42.5. And the Lake Show are back tonight taking on the Jazz for the third time this season. That game is going at 6 o'clock. The Lakers are currently 9.5 point favorites despite center DeAndre Ayton not suiting up tonight. Macy's Backstage is a whole department inside your Macy's store where you can find last minute gifts for everyone on your list, all for under $20. With new arrivals every day, you never know what amazing deals you'll find. Don't wait. Find a location at macysbackstage.com.
San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. It's the Fletch Zone. We got Eric Williams on the line here. Eric Williams is an NFL reporter for NFL on Fox. Longtime friend of the station, friend of the show. Eric, it's been too long, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. It has been a while, but it was nice to get to hear the Beasties come in. I like that.
Yeah, it's always good. Sammy's a great DJ over here, picking songs every single day. He actually gets a lot of compliments on it. So, Eric, like we said, it's been a while, man, but catching up on your life, you're covering the NFL now for Fox. You have been for a few years. With an emphasis on the NFC West, at least for a few years, which is nice for me, Niners fan over here. But tonight, we got a hell of a game, and it's quite likely going to determine the fate of the NFC in a lot of ways here tonight. How do you see this one going between the Rams and the Seahawks?
Yeah, Seahawks 1.5 favorites, which tells you the Sharps are kind of leaning towards the Rams a little bit. Usually you get, field goal at home. I like Seahawks in this one. I think that, they're putting a lot of onus and getting a little bit of revenge in this game. It's been a little smack talk back and forth between the two teams, which I think is good. Adds to the rivalry and the matchup. I know talking to a couple of Seattle players after the game in Los Angeles, they felt like that was a game that they could have won and we're looking forward to the rematch. And then talked to Jared Verse in the locker room after their win over the Lions, and he said that the Seahawks are the team that he dislikes the most. And so a little bit of animosity on both sides going into it. It's going to be raining in Seattle, so that might play a role in what happens offensively between these two teams. I don't think it's going to affect Stafford and his ability to throw the ball around unless it's just a downpour, and it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. But I just think the Seahawks in this game are the more desperate team going into it. And so, I like them to come out on top, maybe 24-21, something like that.
When you look at Sam Darnold, the kind of criticism that people are criticizing him has been that he didn't win the big games last year with the Vikings and then the Rams earlier this year throwing the 4 picks. Do you think that's kind of a BS narrative, or do you think until he does it, that's kind of going to be the storyline?
Yeah, I think it's exactly that. I don't think it's a BS narrative if it's true. I mean, he hasn't played well in big games, and so you kind of need to see him rise up to that level and at least be solid, be competent, not just give the ball to the other team. I think he's capable of doing that. I was up there a few weeks ago during Thanksgiving weekend and had a chance to talk one-on-one with Sam. He believes in his ability, thinks it's a great fit in terms of the system where he's at right now. And then talking to other players around that locker room, they believe in Sam and believe he's capable of leading them to where they want to go, which is a Super Bowl. And that's certainly the front office as well. When you look at GM John Snyder, who signed him to that 3-year deal, they think he's kind of the answer right now for this iteration of this team, which is maybe a little further along than people nationally thought they would be at 11-3. But we have to see it on the field. He has to play well in one of these big moments to kind of create that signature moment for him with this team so that you can really believe that he's going to lead you to a deep postseason run.
At EDub NFL 22 on X, you can find him there. Eric Williams joining us today, covering the NFL for Fox. Eric, it's not just the rain in Seattle. There's crazy flooding and stuff. Also, I think you lived up there for a little bit, but it's insane what Seattle's going through right now, and it doesn't seem like anyone's really talking about it. But it's crazy. It puts tonight's game in that much more of insanity as we get coming closer here. Now, Eric, you also covered essentially Phillip Rivers' entire career here. How fun is it to watch Phillip back on the field at 44 years old? Something none of us really saw coming, but this is pretty cool to watch, huh?
Yeah, it has been fun, after a 5-year absence to see him back on the field, obviously a surprise to most of us. Didn't expect to see him coming back like this, especially with his name being on the Hall of Fame ballot. That's going to reset that now, and he'll be eligible again in 2031. I was covering the Rams-Lions at the same time he was playing up in Seattle with the Colts, playing against the Seahawks, and had one eye on the game at SoFi and the other eye on my computer watching Phillips every snap offensively. I thought he performed well. I thought he looked like Phillip Rivers playing on offense. The way he was throwing the ball around. Obviously, the arm strength. You want to see that improve. See him push the ball down the field a little bit more. But he was efficient, and the fact that he gave the Colts a chance to win the game late against a very good opponent on the road was impressive. And so I'm looking forward to watch him play on Monday night again against the Niners, your team. I think they got a puncher's chance. The one thing about facing defenses like the Niners that are a little bit static pre-snap, Rivers usually does pretty well against those teams because he knows where he wants to go with the football. So I expect him to throw for a little bit more yards in that game.
Now, Eric, I know you have a certain role with the Hall of Fame too. Phillip Rivers, obviously, this year was going to be tough. Drew Brees, Larry Fitzgerald, Frank Gore, it's a stacked ballot this year. But resetting like this does this help Phillip Rivers out a few years from now? Or is this still not a first ballot Hall of Fame resume? Or what does this do for Phillip in that term?
Yeah, I think whether he's first ballot or not is to be determined. I think it's kind of a year-to-year thing depending on who's up in that class. So, yeah, I think it does help him. Brady's going to be up in a couple of years, Ben Roethlisberger, Matt Ryan. So it pushes him beyond those guys, maybe into a class of his own where he doesn't have to fight amongst those elite level performers that he played against when he was playing in the league. So I think it could help him.
When you look at the AFC as a whole, no Mahomes, no Burrow, we'll see if Lamar gets in. Do you feel like this is Josh Allen's AFC to lose, or do you think that there's another team that you would put above them?
No, I think it is Josh Allen. I think he's going to be the best player in the tournament at the end of the season. I think the Bills are a team that can win at home or on the road. So they were my pick to go to the Super Bowl before the season started. I'm sticking with that pick. The Patriots are a little frisky because of their head coach, and he has experience as well. So if the Patriots get home field advantage, I think they could be a tough out, particularly having to go there and play in January. I've been there covering games in January. It's not an easy place to get a win because of the environment in terms of the weather. In the NFC, I think it's the Rams to lose, particularly if they get home field advantage. The thing I like about the Rams is they can beat you a lot of different ways. They run the ball effectively. Obviously, Stafford can sling it in terms of the passing game, and then their defense is one of the best defenses in the league. So they can also hold you back in terms of opposing offenses. So I think for me, it's the Rams in the NFC, and it's the Bills in the AFC.
It's a little bizarre, Eric, and Eric Williams joining us here today. He covers the NFL for Fox, but you look at Matthew Stafford in the year he's had after what we learned about this offseason, where the panic level was at an all-time high about this back injury that he had, and then he comes in and he's played at an MVP level all season long. There was talk about him retiring last year. Is that talk going to fire up again at the end of this season, even if the Rams say go on and win a Super Bowl?
I think anytime you're 37, there's always going to be talk of retirement just because of the age. The back stuff is interesting. I don't know how real that was, to be honest, because of the way that he's playing now. He hasn't really been on the injury report. So you wonder, how much of the back was an issue, or just did he not want to practice during training camp? Not certain, just kind of speculating there. But I think how he's playing right now, I can't imagine him wanting to retire because he's playing so well, and he seems to have figured out how to take care of his body in the off season so he can last a full 17 games. I think he has 1 year left on his deal, $40 million. He probably will want to restructure, and he should, because he's playing as one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Probably deserves to make more. It'll be interesting to see how those contract negotiations go, because he was almost traded to the Raiders or a couple other teams, or at least asked permission to seek a trade. Obviously ended up staying with the Rams, but I think Stafford's going to continue to play after this season.
Eric, so I have to listen to my co-host Fletch talk every day about how the Niners are going to the Super Bowl because they're winning all these games. Do you think they got a legit shot, or do you think that defense is too injured?
No, I think they got a legit shot. I mean, I think Purdy's playing well. McCaffrey's one of the best offensive players in the league. And then I think getting Robert Salah back was huge because of his continuity and understanding how Shanahan wants him to run that defense. You know, even with Bosa being out and Warner being out, they've done a great job of coaching up their young players. They understand their system and how they need to play, and they play fast, physical. The one thing that concerns me is their pass rush. You know, are they going to be able to generate consistent pass rush, and got to have it moments where they need to get off the field? That would be the one thing I think that would maybe hold them back from, if they do get in the postseason, moving on in the postseason.
Super Bowl. Been saying it for weeks, Eric. I placed that bet like week 5, $50 to win a couple thousand. So can't wait for that. All right. Eric Williams joined us today. Thank you for your time, E-Dub. Appreciate it, man. It's been too long. We got to hit a golf course or something sometime soon. But you have a good one.
Okay, I'm up for it. Just let me know. Thanks,
Sounds
man.
great, man. Eric Williams covering the NFL on Fox now. You can follow him on social, E-Dub NFL 22. Follow him there. Man, I miss E-Dub. He used to live down here in San Diego. We had him on every week back in the day. It's San Diego Sports 760. We'll take a quick break. Long Shots hot streak is happening.
Hey, you know the song we're playing when we come back on the rejoin?
Money, 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 something. Shake your money maker. I don't really, whatever it is.
You'll hear it. Just pay attention and then stay tuned for the next commercial break.
How about that? That's called a tease. Well done, Sammy Long. It's San Diego Sports 760. Long Shots next, live on the iHeartRadio app.
You know the song?
Nothing like a Tuesday on long shots getting a win for Sammy to say, screw my normal glasses. I need my stunner shades on for a Thursday show. Congratulations to Sammy Long. Congratulations to everyone who tailed long shots last night. We did get ourselves a little winner, and we're going to take that into getting another winner today. So the pressure only ratchets up from here. Our buddy Tyler on YouTube saying, good win last night, Sammy. Let's get another. Davis was making me nervous for a bit. How about all the guards for San Diego State in the first half? BJ Davis, 1 for 6. Miles Byrd, 1 for 7. LZ Harrington, 0 for 4. The first half was just rough offensively for San Diego State. And then in the second half, BJ Davis goes on a tear, scores 17 points, helps long shots out. Sammy's a winner. We're all winners. So let's get it going today. We have an awesome Thursday night football game. All the NBA teams are back in action. Sammy Long has spent the entire commercial break not only jamming out to some shaking your money maker, plus he was shaking his money maker, which right now is actually his head from long shots. But Sammy, let's get to it for today. Long shots smash.
You looking for some luck? Want to win big? Gotta play big.
You are so money and you don't even know it.
Time to take a chance
Say that me and his man.
with long shots.
In my app, I have LeBron James discounted to 16.5 points, so I'm just going to take that and add that on to whatever you're doing, Sammy.
Okay, beautiful. I do think LeBron, that makes a lot of sense. Austin Reeves is not playing tonight. He's dealing with a calf strain the last week. DeAndre Ayton is also not playing tonight. This Jazz team has actually played the Lakers really tight over the first 2 games, despite the Lakers winning both. So I like that. I'm actually going to show how unbiased I am. Now, I don't like betting against my guys, but I'm going to show you how unbiased I am in long shots betting.
Wait, the Chiefs aren't playing tonight.
No, I'm talking about my Lakers. I'm going to give you 1 NBA pick and 2 NFL picks. All right, that's what we're going with tonight. We hit a Tuesday last night. We're going to hit a 3 today, and then we're going to go crazy over the weekend. All right, first my NBA pick. Keontae George, the guard for the Utah Jazz, playing the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. The last 2 games, he has had 39 points and 37. The dirty little secret, he's averaging 30 points against the Lakers this year. Keontae George has been an absolute beast. He was a guy out of Baylor that probably didn't get the amount of respect he deserved in that draft class. Keontae George is a rising young star for the Utah Jazz. Again, I have a moral dilemma making this pick because I will be obviously pulling hard for my Lakers tonight. But we're talking about betting. We're talking about what we think is going to happen. Keontae George, more than 27 points. I think he has a big night. And even if the Lakers are winning this big, which Vegas is telling you by being favored by 9.5, Keontae George will still be playing because this is all about developing the guards. Keontae George, more than 27 points tonight against my Los Angeles Lakers. If you want to include that LeBron lightning bolt, I think that will also hit too because Reeves and DeAndre Ayton are out. They're going to be asking Luka and LeBron to score a lot more. All right, on to the NFL. Kyron Williams, more than 71.5 rush and receiving yards. A couple reasons why I'm going with this. A, it's raining, number 1. Okay, Rams play indoors. They're not used to playing in the rain. This is more in Seattle's. I lived in Seattle for 3 years. This thing will sprinkle and it'll be dumping all night long. Kyron Williams, he's hit his over in the last few games. I'm going to add that rush and receiving at 71.5 to bump it up a little bit. So that way we have, because I think the Rams are going to use a lot of the screen game tonight, as well as get Kyron Williams going on the ground. Remember, Devontae Adams is doubtful for this game. Not going to play. You're already losing a big weapon there. Puka Nacua. Listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think the refs are taking out guys. But if there was a game where Puka's not getting calls after calling out the refs the last 2 days, saying that they just want to get on TV, I think Puka Nacua might be in for a little bit of a tough night after making those comments this week. I think this is a heavy dose of Kyron Williams tonight. More than 71.5 rush and receiving. Make sure you get that possible screen game by adding in the receiving. And then we're going to go to the other side. Sam Darnold. Now, I know I just said I went with the running back because of the weather and the fact that it's sprinkling. It's going all night. We just talked to Eric Williams. This is a massive game for Sam Darnold personally. Outside of the fact that you want to be the number 1 seed, you want to carry your team to victory, you're at home, you're favored by 1.5 points. Sam Darnold, more than 224.5 pass yards. This number is a little bit depressed, I think, because of last time against the Rams, having 4 interceptions. Some of those interceptions, people, if we go back and look, were a little fluky, kind of got popped in the air. I think this is a huge game for Sam Darnold tonight. Let's look at Sam Darnold's last 3 opportunities he's had in big games. Against the Rams, he throws 4 picks. last year in the playoffs against the Rams out there in Arizona in that game that got moved because of the LA wildfires to Phoenix the week of. He had a rough game, only scored 9 points. Played really bad in the game before that against the Detroit Lions when the number 1 seed was on the line. Sam Darnold, this is not only a big game for the Seahawks and Seahawks fans, this is a big game for Sam Darnold personally, and to maintain he's the quarterback going forward for the next few years. I think he's going to be anyway, especially because they're not in the range to draft Fernando Mendoza. And Sam Darnold has been fantastic this season, the last couple seasons. The one thing that's been missing is that big win. Eric Williams just came on our show and said it. I think this game, despite it meaning a lot for both teams, both 11-3, both trying to get home field advantage for the Seahawks would mean a lot more than it would for the Rams. I have no question marks about the Rams going on the road as a potential 7 seed and running their way through the playoffs, whereas the Seahawks, I've been in that stadium, that is a real home field advantage. It is loud as hell. I think this is a big game for Sam Darnold tonight. More than 224.5 passing yards. Okay, to recap, Kyron Williams, more than 71.5 rush and receiving yards. Sam Darnold, more than 224.5 pass yards. Keontae George, guard for the Utah Jazz against my Los Angeles Lakers tonight, more than 27 points, averaging 30 against them this season. And then Fletch, if you want to add the LeBron James over, I think that it is a solid add as well. If you get that lightning bolt, make sure you take that to get the discount.
I'm all in, Sammy. I may take everything we made last night and put it on tonight's.
We had a couple texts of people who saying that I'm helping them buy Christmas presents.
How about that? You can help me buy some Christmas presents as well.
858 is throwing out some. So what about Colby Parkinson? Seahawks soft against tight ends this year and red zone targets galore for Parkinson. Listen,
you know what I was kind of looking at, and I leave your lineup the way it is. Did you already do the recap? I wasn't listening.
Yes. Kyron Williams, more than 71.5 rush and reception yards. Sam Darnold, more than 224.5 pass yards. Keontae George, guard for the Utah Jazz, more than 27 points.
Because I kind of like, let's leave it at that. I like it. Let's do it. Faith in Sammy.
I like this line. I really feel like this is a big night for Sam Darnold. I feel like
George one, if that one doesn't hit, you're going to be so pissed at yourself tomorrow.
Well, first off, I'm showing my not bias. I selfishly, I don't want Keontae George to hit this because I want the Lakers to win tonight, but I think it's going to hit because the Lakers have shown inability to guard him on the perimeter, and if he played in another city outside of Utah, he would be one of the bright young stars in the NBA.
We're locked in, baby. Let's go. I'm submitted. Who else is submitted?
Everyone's submitted.
Everyone's submitted.
Everyone's submitted.
All
Everyone's
right.
got. We're riding the streak. We're hitting a little heater. What did they say in The Hangover? You never leave the table when you're on a heater. Look at this. I'm getting a spam call from Seattle right now. Right now.
Dude, okay, so the Seattle thing is crazy. I don't know what the rain's going to look like tonight. That Sam Darnold pick may come back to bite us because of the rain. But my buddy lives up there, and he said no one's talking about it on any news anywhere, but like levees have broken.
Yeah, it's scary, actually.
It's flooding everywhere. People's houses are underwater. I don't know why we're not hearing more about this, but it sounds like it's catastrophic up there. Hopefully the NFL tonight does something. I don't know about helping out, donating money to families, something for tonight with Thursday Night Football being in Seattle. But this is chaos, what's going on up there. It's San Diego Sports 760. We got a whole nother hour of this coming up next. So we're going to give away Zach Bryan tickets in hour number 2. Ooh. We're going to continue to preview this Rams Seahawks game. We're going to get you ready for a ridiculously busy weekend in college athletics. Plus, Sammy, it's our first Saturday games of the NFL season. Let's get some previews going. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app.
This sport is furnished by Genuine. Thursday Night Football, Rams in Seattle taking on the Seahawks. Supposed to rain tonight up there in Seattle. That game is going at 5:15. Seahawks are currently a 1.5 point favorite with the point total set at 42.5. And the college football playoff gets going tomorrow. Alabama in Oklahoma taking on the Sooners and Brett Venables. The game is at 5 o'clock. OU is currently a 1.5 point favorite despite being at home. Pretty low point total with two of the best defenses in college football at 40.5. The support has been furnished by Genuine.
Christmas may be a week away, but I feel like we're opening up some presents this weekend. We have an excellent sports weekend coming up that really gets started tomorrow. College football playoff games on a Friday. Saturday is loaded up with NFL. Saturday is loaded up with the Aztecs basketball team taking on the number one team in the country, the Arizona Wildcats. Going to be an excellent game coming up this weekend. And of course, Sunday, we got action all over the place. And then Monday, prime time, Monday Night Football, Phillip Rivers against the 49ers. Going to be a blast. It's San Diego Sports 760. This is hour number 2. If it's your first time joining us, my name is Ben Fletcher. That's Sammy Long, the voice you just heard on the update. We have a lot of fun here on a daily basis. We talk a lot of betting. We talk a lot of sports. And if you want to join the party, come on in. Welcome in. The most approachable show in San Diego is what I like to say.
I love
Sammy.
that. We're the most approachable show in San Diego.
We do have a text line, 70470. Start your message with the word team. We can read your text there. We have the free iHeartRadio app, which is a superpower that we get to use here on a daily basis. Go over there, search San Diego Sports 760, add us to your presets. You can listen there on the free iHeartRadio app, and you can interact there as well. We have the talkback mic, which is in the upper right-hand corner of your screen.
We want to hear from you. We love the talkback mic.
Tap the talkback mic, leave us a 30-second voicemail, go straight to Sammy's computer. We can listen to them all there. And, of course, YouTube at San Diego Sports 760, Twitter at Fletch and Sammy, Twitter, also known as X. You can find us there.
Yeah, that's getting annoying. It's Twitter.
It's Twitter.
Like, who calls it X?
Are we just done calling it X? I'd rather just call it Twitter.
Like, this isn't even a political thing, but like Elon trying to change this, like, dude, like, it's Twitter. We've known it for years as Twitter.
It's Twitter. I'm fine with that. All right. It is San Diego Sports 760. That's not changing any names anytime soon. And the college football playoff gets going tomorrow. So we have tomorrow is the 19th, which means
Oklahoma hosting Alabama.
That game is at 5 o'clock tomorrow night. Is that the only one tomorrow? The rest are on Saturday?
Yep, rest are on Saturday. I'm kind of surprised if you look at the Saturday games that the Saturday games, they have the best one, I believe, is in the morning. Or you're thinking the best one is in the morning and that it's A&M hosting Miami. I'm trying to get that right. Yeah. So the two best games you're thinking in terms of point spread, what Vegas is telling you, is Alabama and Oklahoma, which is standalone, and then you got Miami and Texas A&M in the morning, and then you got your Tulane Ole Miss in James Madison, Oregon at night. Which
this was highly intentional because starting at 2 o'clock on Sunday, the NFL takes over.
I did not even put that together. So that is a great point.
So starting at 2 o'clock on Saturday, it's Eagles Commanders, and then at 5:20, it's Packers at Bears, which again, much like the Rams Seahawks game coming up later tonight, that Packers Bears game has massive playoff implications all over the place. In fact, the Packers may find themselves in a world of hurt here coming up shortly if the Bears win that game. So you look at what college football and ESPN did, it was highly intentional, making sure that the game that they were wanted to get the most eyeballs on was at 9 a.m.
That is a fantastic point. I did not put that together.
You're welcome, Sammy. That's why they pay me the medium bucks. I've always said that. So it's San Diego Sports 760. And as we rip through here, you look at these college football playoff games, and probably you're right, Sammy. Probably we get two really good games and two kind of duds. I would love nothing more in this world than to see either James Madison or Tulane to win a game.
Everyone would. I think unless you're a fan of Oregon or Ole Miss, everyone is pulling for that.
But I think it'd be awesome. Even if it's close, even if one of these games is just like a touchdown game, and then all of a sudden you just add legitimacy to the argument. Notre Dame goes away crying even more than they already have been. But I would love to see it. Like, give me a Tulane upset. Lane Kiffin just kicked dirt on Ole Miss on his way out the door. Maybe Tulane gets the upset. You have James Madison, who's had this historic season, but nobody takes them all that seriously in this college football playoff. Imagine they give Oregon a run for their money and beat Oregon. How much fun that would be for the entire country. Look, I'm here for it. I would love to see it. I don't think it's going to happen, but you got a 21-point spread in the James Madison Oregon game. You got a 17.5-point spread in the Ole Miss Tulane game. Can we see both these teams cover? How fun would that be?
And by the way, we have a great talk back from our guy Quacked on Potters. We're going to play here in a little
Quacked?
bit. But yeah, so remember last year, first year college football playoff, very exciting. Every first round game was terrible. It was blowouts. It wasn't even close. Penn State destroyed SMU, if I'm remembering. The one game that was supposed to be good was Tennessee and Ohio State. And that one wasn't really even close either. So college football is really counting on Alabama and Oklahoma and then Miami and A&M. Because what would have happened if Tulane didn't get in? Let's give them the one non-Power 5 team, right? Okay, let's say James Madison gets in. All right, great story. They're probably getting pounded by Oregon, but let's see if somehow a Cinderella can shock the world. What we would be seeing tomorrow or on Saturday is Notre Dame against Ole Miss. Now that would have been that's a fantastic game. I don't know even who. I think Notre Dame might be favored in that game, especially with Lane Kiffin not being there. You have that angle of how is Ole Miss. I think if you don't have a team, Ole Miss is kind of a team to root for because you're kind of pulling for the guys despite Lane Kiffin leaving and seeing how if they're going to be affected by it. Is the offense look the same considering Kiffin's such an offensive-minded head coach? But I just wonder what the narrative is going to be and if it causes changes to the fact that 2 non-Power 5 teams got in. If these games suck this weekend, we know the NFL is king. If the 2 ones are blowouts, and then if one of these A&M Miami games or your Alabama Oklahoma is not everything that it's being built up to be, I wonder if we see changes because if you're college football, you really need big brands in there to try to even compete with the NFL.
Now, Sammy, I like to consider my little gambling czar. I like to consider him my little guru that I have sitting behind the
your
scenes.
Little guru?
Yeah,
like
my
Elf
little
on
guru.
the Shelf?
Yeah. Ooh, you've heard of Elf on the Shelf. How about Sammy on the whammy? So let's think about this, Sammy Long. If you were going to be sprinkling on some of these spreads that you're seeing this weekend, where do you feel like the best spot to go in? And here, I'm going to magically transport us to Vegas in 3, 2, 1. Boom, we're there. Where are we sprinkling?
Well, if you're getting
kind of like Tulane,
17.5.
I kind of like
now. I want it. Okay, I hear you. There's a lot that's changed. Now, I do want to warn everyone if you're thinking about taking Ben Fletcher's advice. Tulane was beat by this Ole Miss team by 25 earlier this year.
Who was their head coach at the time?
Lane Kiffin. So if you think, Lane Kiffin,
is Lane Kiffin there again? Is he still
No.
on the sideline for Ole Miss?
No, he is not.
Did he magically reappear?
You know what's funny about that?
Do you think Ole Miss? Seriously, a serious question because there's a lot of storylines at play here.
Right.
Ole Miss, if they win this game, $250,000 goes into Lane Kiffin's pocket.
Oh, Lane Kiffin's so excited. He's pulling for Chambliss and Lacey and company.
So obviously, Ole Miss is going to work their asses off to win as many games as possible in the college football playoff on the field. Do you think that the athletic director, the president of the Ole Miss University, really wants to see extra money go into Lane Kiffin's pocket?
But it's if they win a couple games, it's the ultimate FU to Lane Kiffin.
Sure,
of
course it is.
If they somehow get beat by Tulane, the person with the biggest smile, outside of the fact that he doesn't want the kids, because he mentored these guys, I'm sure he doesn't want the kids to not feel that, is Lane Kiffin's going to be sitting there going, oh yeah, I asked to coach your team, and look what happened. Now, what's interesting, when I was driving in, I was thinking about this. I was listening to Colin Cowherd. Golding was the offensive coordinator, is now the head coach. He's following Lane Kiffin to LSU,
which is bizarre.
So they're letting him coach, not Lane Kiffin. I guess
so
I get
incestuous. It's so weird.
I guess I get it because Lane Kiffin spurned him and Golding is not as important, but we'll see how that is. In terms of a betting thing, I hear you on the Tulane plus 17.5. Maybe they keep it close. Miami plus 3.5. If you're getting the hook, half point. I get that Miami kind of struggled down the stretch, but let's look at this team. You have 2 top 10 picks one on the offensive line and then one on the defensive line with Ruben McBain. Carson Beck has been there before, despite him being prone to turn the ball over. And although I like A&M and what Elko's done, and Marcel Reed's a really fun quarterback, they went on the road and beat Notre Dame this year. They have been very up and down. And their last biggest game of the season, they lost to Texas when Texas needed it. I think
as of this exact moment, it is Texas A&M minus 3.5. So you do get the hook right now.
So if I was betting one game, I think Miami plus 3.5, considering they might have, outside of Ohio State, the biggest in Oregon, the most amount of NFL players on their roster. If you can get past the Carson Beck interceptions, I think in down there in Texas, I think they cover it. Maybe
there's going to be
win.
So many people doing a just straight money line parlay all 4 games in this first round, and I don't think any of them are going to hit because they'll go all favorites. Because you think of the first round of the college football playoff, that's where you can make some money. We're getting at least one upset. Either Alabama is going to beat Oklahoma or Miami is going to beat Texas
The only
A&M.
problem, and I'm with you, I want to see an upset because I do. Like, I would love to see James Madison beat Oregon or Tulane beat Ole Miss. Is if one of them wins, the chances of them going on in the next round when the competition gets even better is probably even more minute.
Right, but I think we both probably agree on this. Indiana and Ohio State both most likely advance. So no matter who comes out of these two games, which this kind of sucks about this weekend, like the better opportunity you have is Oregon beating James Madison. They could go beat Texas Tech.
Which they might be favored in. Oregon has an interesting, a pretty somewhat easy path to get to the championship.
Ole Miss beats Tulane. You would think Ole Miss, look, they're probably going to be dogged against Georgia, but they at least have a better chance.
Right.
So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting way the way this bracket works out. I honestly don't love how this bracket's set up, but we'll see if we can get some fun games out of the first couple of rounds. All right, Sammy, let's get to the big three, maybe like a big one here, and then
we got a big one.
Get to the rest on the other side. Go ahead, smash.
Your lunch break is here. Ready to go back to the office and knock the socks off your friends? I mean, coworkers? It's time for the top stories of the day. The Big Three.
615 texting into the show saying no hook needed. Hurricanes going to win this game outright. The Aggies haven't played for quite some time now.
It's a.
You like the money line, 615?
If you're looking for a little sprinkle, I think Miami's
just a little paprika.
Like, because everyone's picking Alabama being dogged against OU. Part of me is like, they can't run the football, and Oklahoma is one of the best pass defenses in the country, so it's all on Ty Simpson. I think Miami could win this thing outright. I like that. If you're looking for a little risk this weekend,
I like the Miami pick. And snap my fingers, boom, we're back in San Diego. Sammy, how about that? The teleportation device.
We were just at Circa. We just placed.
We were just there. We just placed bets. All right, Sammy, where are we going with the big one?
We're heading. We're gonna head to the NFL. So the Rams, kind of a hypothetical question, but after all the Joe Burrow drama yesterday, the last week, talking about his joy for the game, was asked if he could see himself playing on a different team in the future, and he said, "quote You think about a lot of things. Joe Burrow knows what he's doing." Two-parter. Number one, should Joe Burrow request out of Cincinnati? But number two, he has been linked to the Rams. Actually, our sister station, AM 570, Eric Dickerson was on that station and talked about how he's heard some possible rumblings about possibly Joe Burrow to Los Angeles. But the Rams have the Falcons' first-round pick, and that is currently projected to be the 10th overall pick in the draft. We'll see where they end up. Would you give up the next 5 drafts for Burrow if you're the Rams, or take a QB with a top 10 pick and try to develop them and let Stafford have not only this year, but another run at it next year?
What's crazy with the Rams is they may not have to give up their next 5. They may only have to give up their next 4 because they have 2 first-round picks this year. So you couple your 2 first-round picks this year along with the next 2 first-round picks, you give up 4, and I think the Cincinnati Bengals may even go for that. Now, the hook on all of this is Matthew Stafford. Like Matthew Stafford at the end of the year, I would imagine a lot like Eric Dickerson said earlier, or not Eric Williams, sorry. Eric Williams said earlier, the conversation starts up immediately at the end of this season. What's Matthew Stafford going to do next year?
Maybe more if he wins the Super Bowl.
For sure. He could go out on top. How many quarterbacks get to do that? I can think of 2 off the top of my head. So you look at Matthew Stafford at the end of this season, $40 million next year. He's not playing for $40 million next year. At the very least, he's earned 55. You would think near the top of the league. So the Rams have to restructure his contract no matter what. Does Matthew Stafford get to the end of this season, say he wins a Super Bowl, you could go out on top. Who knows what the future looks like for Devontae Adams? Who knows what the future looks like for Sean McVay, even, who toys with retirement every now and then? Does Matthew Stafford just say, you know what? This is about as good as it's ever going to get. 2-time Super Bowl winner. I'm done. Then the Rams need to go into full on, all right, F them picks. We're going right back to that. We're going to go get Joe Burrow. We're going to use this young defense that we have, which right now is cheap. We're going to add an expensive quarterback, maybe bring in a tight end to help out. And we're going to see what we can do over the next 3 or 4 years with Joe Burrow before we have to rebuild this thing in its entirety. That's the smart thing to do. But if Matthew Stafford is this good and ready to play again next year, why would you? Like, Matthew Stafford is a more reliable Joe Burrow at this point in his career. He's an excellent decision maker. He's getting older, and he'll be another year older next year. But if Matthew Stafford's healthy, wants to run it back again, you're telling me adding $15 million to his paycheck next year isn't worth it? The Rams could be in this exact same situation with all their picks going into next season. So this all hinges on whether or not Matthew Stafford wants to play again next year.
It's tricky with Burrow because if you know Burrow's going to be healthy, I give up whatever to get him.
Sure.
I mean, unless you are the Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, I think every team would give up their entire.
Especially a team like the Rams, who have shown a lot of success drafting in the 4th and 5th rounds.
Right, who draft late. Now, the concern is the injuries. He had a massive injury in college. He had a massive injury in his first year in the NFL, and then has dealt with a lot of injuries ever since then. It would take a lot of picks. I think if you're the Rams, you'd have to do it. But the Rams are in a unique spot where, if Stafford is like, I'm going to come back regardless of what happens this year, then you could take a guy like a Ty Simpson, a Dante Moore if they come out, guys who might not be ready to go right now, and just let them sit, get better in that Sean McVay system, and kind of just develop. And you could have a big time quarterback in a couple of years from now.
And guess what? Joe Burrow is going to be a free agent in a couple of years anyways. You might be able to go get him then.
We can maybe get to this later, but I just had a thought pop in my head. If Joe Burrow went to LA, who would be the better quarterback for the next 5 years, Burrow or Herbert in Los Angeles?
It's Burrow, barring health. If you're telling me both of them are healthy for the next 5 years, it's Burrow, no doubt. No doubt in my mind.
If he's healthy. But Herbert has shown he's an Iron Man.
Sure.
And Burrow, when he's healthy, is up there with anyone.
Herbert plays through some stuff. Joe Burrow, when he's healthy, literally, he's had 2 fully healthy seasons in the NFL since he's been here, has been in an AFC championship game and a Super Bowl. That's what Joe Burrow's done.
He's shown he can beat Patrick Mahomes. He's beat Josh Allen.
By the way, those Bengals defenses were also crappy. They were better, but also crappy. And he was still able to get them that far. So Joe Burrow, I have no doubt in my mind, is one of those top three.
I just wonder if the injuries would not knock down his price. He would go for a ton.
No, the injuries make it to where you think a lot more about it. Like you said, if Joe Burrow to this point in his career had been healthy, you're giving up 7 first round picks.
It's not even a question.
Yeah, and you're fine doing it. But the fact that Joe Burrow pretty much every year has something that he's dealing with makes it a lot trickier. All right, we're going to get to a couple other stories on the other side. Plus, we got our first Saturday games of the NFL season. Let's get into those matchups and what they mean coming up on the other side. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app.
Oh, yeah. Hey, boys. Quacked on Padres here. Just wanted to put it out there. If anyone in San Diego is rooting for the Rams tonight, that is bona fide Dodger loving. So I hope that everyone bandwagons with me on the Seahawks and go Hawks.
Oh yeah, that's our buddy Quack.
That's our loyal listener. That's a deep cut right there.
What's happening, Quack Don? Appreciate you being here today, man. I don't know about the Dodger loving thing, and I will never, ever recommend somebody follows the Seahawks as a fan. But if you want to do that, that's your own prerogative. And Quack Don, I'm glad to have you here, man. I am rooting for the Seahawks tonight, maybe the first time in my entire life, but I like chaos in the NFC, and that's what it would be if the Seattle Seahawks get a win tonight up in Seattle. So, Quack Don, thank you for being here. Rams fans who might live in San Diego now, if you have any response, feel free to hop on the free iHeartRadio app. Find that little talkback mic upper right-hand corner of the screen when you're listening to San Diego Sports 760. Respond to Quack Don Padres.
I'm curious. It's like a general question because I wonder who San Diego's favorite football team is now. Because to be fair, and we've gotten DMs from a lot of closet Charger fans still. Like I've been to bars during their playoff game last year, and it was packed with Charger fans. I don't know if
it's closet. Like I don't think it's a bad thing to be a Chargers fan. And maybe that's an unpopular opinion by me. Like you're all welcome here, by no means. All means necessary. You are all welcome here, and we love fans of the Cowboys, even though we make fun of you. We love fans of the Raiders, even though it's been a rough couple of years. Niners fans, obviously welcome. Chiefs fans, come on in, I guess.
You're always welcome.
Look, I used to. My Wi-Fi would go out all the time in my old condo, all the time. And I am a cord cutter. Everything goes through streaming services now. I'm a YouTube TV guy. And so I would walk down to McGregor's at my old condo to watch football on Sundays a lot of the time because they had every game going. Love that bar. When I tell you that place is full of Charger fans every Sunday, it was full of Charger fans every single Sunday. They are still here, and that's fine. That's a good thing.
Yeah, be a fan of who you want to be a fan of.
Exactly right. And it sucks what the Chargers did. Everyone acknowledges that, but it's hard to sever those ties. It is hard to sever those ties. And if you hate the Chargers, we get that too. Believe you me. So what I would say is if you are a Rams fan who maybe became a Rams fan when the Chargers went up there and you were like, you play in some other dude's house. Well, here, I'm going to root for that other dude. Respond to Quacks.
I'm curious. I asked Coach Quintero about this, and I wonder if it's an age thing. And this is like, I understand people were like, they're dead to me. I hate the Chargers for leaving it. Like completely understand. And especially like if you were a season ticket holder and you're like, I gave money to that team for years. Then they went up the road again, completely get it. But like, I have a lot of friends who are early 20s who we're all San Diego Charger fans. They're all still LA Charger fans.
Cause it's probably their first football game ever. That has a special place in your heart. Right. If your first live football game is somewhere, you're probably a fan of that team for life.
So it's an interesting thing because, and again, I see both ways. If you're still a Chargers fan, that's cool. If you hate them, that's cool too. Like I completely get it. I was obviously a Chiefs fan growing up, so I was never a Charger fan, but I wonder who the team is like, because if you're not a fan of the Chargers, you're probably like, are you a fan of the Rams despite them? Or are you like, I don't support LA? Are you a Raider fan because you kind of went with the rival or the Broncos or the Chiefs? Like I wonder who San Diego's team would be now.
I don't know if there is one, but there's pockets of every team here. That's the cool part.
That's the NFL.
Part of what I love living here is you can find a bar in San Diego for every possible team. There's some great Niners bars in Ocean Beach. There's one in Pacific Beach. There's one in the Gas Lamp. There's a Broncos bar in Solana Beach named Chiefs. That has incredible burgers. Like you go anywhere, there's Steelers bars, Saints bars, Jets bars. I've been to a lot of them. And it's
Chiefs bar downtown, the Top Gun place.
Yeah, so the Kansas City barbecue, that's a great spot too. They got awesome pulled pork and really great burnt ends. You talk about good food in San Diego.
Might need a little endorsement. The owners there are tight.
Dude, that place is good food, man. But yeah, that's the great part about living in San Diego. And here's the great part about this show. You're all welcome.
You're all welcome. Even if you're a Denver Bronco fan, you're welcome.
Dude, I love watching the Denver Broncos play this year. We're talking Super Bowl, Niners, Broncos. I'm here for it. That's happened once before.
It has. And guess what? John Elway and was it Steve Young or is it Montana are the quarterbacks?
I believe that was Steve Young.
Yeah. If you had those guys, then maybe.
Mm-hmm. All right. San Diego Sports 760. We're going to take a quick break here. That was not what we were supposed to talk about here.
We got distracted.
We are going to talk about the Saturday matchups in the NFL coming up next.
Yes.
Saturday, look, Brent Sperry runs the board for Aztec games.
Big Brent.
He's going to be running the board. He's also a diehard Chicago Bears fan. We may be on our own on Saturday night is all I'm saying. It's going to be interesting with Brent Sperry, but we got an awesome day of sports coming up this weekend. Let's get into it on the other side at San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
The sport's sponsored by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Great Thursday night football matchup. Rams Seahawks at 5:15. Seattle is currently a 1.5 point favorite with the point total set at 42.5. And the Lake Show are back tonight, taking on the Jazz. 6 o'clock in Utah. Lakers have won the first 2 meetings this season. Lakers are currently favored by 9.5. Though Reeves and DeAndre Ayton will not be playing in this one. Be the 3 C's MVP this month at Valley View Casino and Hotel. On December 26th, one lucky winner will score cash, and more cash, or a spin for $100,000 during the 3 C's giveaway. Only in San Diego's favorite casino.
San Diego Sports 760. Ben Fletcher, Sammy Long with you till 2. John and Jim will take over then. We still have those Zach Bryan tickets to give away, and I'll give you a hint. They will not be given away in the final segment of today's show, which would mean they will be given away in this segment of today's show. So don't go anywhere. Zach Bryan is playing Snapdragon Stadium July 31st and August 1st. We have tickets for the July 31st show, so don't go anywhere. Within the next 8 minutes, those tickets will be given away. It's San Diego Sports 760. We have a busy ass weekend, and I'm going to put some emphasis on that because on Saturday, we got 2 NFL games. We got the Eagles and the Commanders, which is whatever. It should have been a much better game at the beginning of the season than it will be now. But we also have the Bears and Packers, which is setting up to be a fantastic game in the NFC, with the Chicago Bears kind of holding their fate in their own hands right now in terms of the NFC North, which is the greatest preseason prediction I've ever heard, and it came from one Sammy Long.
I appreciate that, brother.
Good call, Sammy. Now, the Bears and the Eagles and the Packers, who all play this Saturday, all, I would say, have a legitimate shot to make it to the Super Bowl this year out of the NFC, because it feels like a very even-keeled year across the entire NFL. And those 3 teams we're projecting, at least, will be in the postseason. So you take those 3 teams, and Sammy came up with this question. Out of the 3 of them, who do you trust the most to actually make it to a Super Bowl this year? And Sammy, I'll let you start.
Okay. It's
text line. We want you in on this as well. 70470. Start your message with team Bears, Packers, Eagles. Who's most likely to make a Super Bowl this year?
Yeah. Text says, I want to hear your thoughts, because the easy answer is Philly. The easy answer is Philly because they did it last year. They've been to 2 Super Bowls. They obviously destroyed my Chiefs last year, and they have all the pieces. Like, they have one of the best defenses in the NFL. Saquon Barkley is still there, and AJ Brown's still there, and Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert. Now, we've talked a lot about identity. We had our texter SoCal Jayhawk, loyal listener to the show, talking about how the Chiefs, when they were still alive, the Chiefs and the Eagles felt like they had the least identity in the NFL. And I think that really has been true. Like, I don't know what's wrong with Philly. It doesn't make sense why Philly. I think that's why, if you're a Philly fan, why there's been so much critique, despite them having a pretty good record, despite them likely going to win their division and be in a position to possibly repeat, is that it doesn't make sense why the offense has looked this bad. The Packers, I would have said, might be the most complete team until that Micah Parsons injury.
Man, they had tons of injuries last week.
It's good that Christian Watson's back, because Christian Watson completely changed the offense for Jordan Love, having that deep threat and Jaden Reed being back. But then the Bears too is kind of flawed in that they're very turnover reliant. When they don't get turnovers, they're ranking like the 3rd worst defense in the NFL, even though they have been a little bit better. And do you trust Caleb in his first season? So I would go with Philly, because I still think when you got to beat the champs, you actually got to knock them out. And anyone that says, hey, I want to go to Philly in a home playoff game for the Eagles, I think is probably lying to you. I don't know if they have enough to get past the Rams or maybe even the Lions if they get in, despite the fact that they beat the Lions. But I am going to go with Philly, but it's very tight. Like, it's kind of, I don't feel great saying that because Philly hasn't shown up throughout the season.
I may actually go with the Bears.
Okay.
Would you so the Rams aren't playing on Saturday, which is the only reason I wouldn't say the Rams of the group, but I might go with the Bears out of this group simply because of this. Look, you say Christian Watson's back. I'm pretty sure he dislocated ribs in their last game. So even if he is back for this week, which he's questionable as of right now, he's not going to be at 100%.
Now, this week, Rome and Luther Burden are out for the Bears.
Okay.
Just this week, though.
Just this week. Like, I do think the Bears of these 3 teams have the most identity at this point in the season, which is crazy to say. But Ben Johnson in year number 1 and Caleb Williams in year number 2, they figured something out, and they're doing it by way of the run and Ben Johnson scheming up Monungai and DeAndre Swift to have these excellent games. Like DeAndre Swift was forgotten about after a couple years with the Eagles.
Cast off.
He was forgotten about, and he's all of a sudden a star again this season. And Monungai is fantastic, man. So I look at what the Bears have done with the young tight end, with Roma Dunze for the most part this season, with Caleb Williams, and with this two-headed running back who's competing like they're one of the better duos in the league. I love what the Bears have built. And then you look at the Eagles, who, remember 2 years ago, coming off a Super Bowl appearance, and then they sucked the final 6 weeks of the season. This team feels a lot more like that team than it does last year's team, who went on to win the Super Bowl and dominate the NFC playoffs.
And to your point about the Bears, the thing I'll give the Bears is they're kind of playing with the most house money. Is if they go get bounced in the first round, people are going to go in Chicago, hey, we've looked like we found our franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. We finally have a head coach in place in Ben Johnson. If we can start working on this defense and maybe some surrounding parts. The Packers, Jordan Love, I'm curious the narrative around him, because Jordan Love was paid as the next savior of Green Bay. Obviously, great quarterbacks have been in there with Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre. It's been it hasn't been a revolving door of quarterbacks in Green Bay. And Jordan Love at times looks unbelievable. But does the pressure go away because Micah Parsons isn't there? I
feel like the second Tucker Kraft went out for the season, it was just dangling on a tightrope for the Packers, because Kraft was such a reliable option early in the year. He tears his ACL. The Green Bay offense hasn't looked as consistent since.
But it's almost, though, interesting, because if you're Jordan Love, the fact that your star pass rusher isn't there might put more pressure on you to show that you can be that top 10, top 5 quarterback like you're paid. And it's the fact that they play in the same division. You have Caleb Williams,
so huge
because if the guy who goes farther in the playoffs, like if Caleb Williams goes farther than Jordan Love in the playoffs, that's a bad look for Jordan Love, despite the fact that he's missing a star pass rusher. In Philly, you feel like if they bounce in the first round, there's going to be wholesale changes.
I think so too, man.
And you wonder if Nick Sirianni's job is safe despite winning a Super Bowl
Look,
last year.
It's really hard to win back-to-back Super Bowls, and that's for any team across the league. For most teams across the NFL, if you win one Super Bowl, you got a few years of grace. Not in Philly. That's just not how the media market works.
They expect greatness every year, it's respectable.
I love that Philly sports environment is one of the more incredible ones in the country. They demand greatness out of the Phillies. They demand greatness out of the Eagles. They demand greatness out of the Flyers. And usually, I think that makes the teams pretty good, because the Philly sports fan is one of the best fans in the country, albeit a little annoying. Jim Russell looking at you because he's now a Philly fan somehow.
Yeah,
he marries into an Eagles family, and all of a sudden he wears Eagles jerseys. What?
Yeah, he turns off the Niners during a playoff game. Yeah, Jim Russell has lost his Niner card.
I agree. But when I say it's really hard for teams to win back-to-back, there haven't been that many of them who have. The Packers did it with the first two Super Bowls, 66 and 67. The Dolphins did it in 72 and 73. The Steelers did it in 74, 75, and 78, 79. The Niners did it in 88, 89. The Cowboys did it in 92, 93. The Broncos did it in 97, 98. And the Patriots did it in 03, 04. And yes, the Chiefs did it in 22
let's get
and
to
23.
That most recent one.
But that kind of proves to you, within the last 30 years now, there's been two teams who have done it, the Patriots and the Chiefs. So it's getting harder in the NFL is what I'm trying to say. And with the parity in this league, especially this year, you feel like it's not going to be the Eagles this year, as from what we've seen so far. So as hard as it is to do, maybe that's what Philly demands. That's not what I expect. And this year, I do think we get a brand new Super Bowl champion. In fact, I had this conversation with Rich Ornberger earlier today, and we were going back and forth, and we were like, what if it ends up being the Jags and the Bears? Well, which is very realistic. I'm here for it.
We were talking about this. Obviously, the Bills have Josh Allen has the most pressure of anyone in the field, because we've talked about this ad nauseum. Mahomes isn't there and Burrow isn't there. The guys that have taken him out. And it's a really bad look if he loses to Bo Nix, if he loses to Drake May, if he loses to Trevor Lawrence, Herbert, go down the list. After the Bills, though, is it the Rams because they're the, quote, best team? Is it the Eagles because they have one of the most loaded rosters but can't get it together? Is it, I'll throw a name out there, is it Justin Herbert and the Chargers, despite the offensive line being completely shattered, because Herbert has to show that he can actually be big in big moments? Like, who is that next team after Buffalo? I don't know where you would go, because the Rams on paper, I think if you're a Rams fan, you're sitting there going, if you don't make the Super Bowl this year or lose it, you're going to go, damn, we probably had the best roster in the NFL. in knowing that there's a real chance on the AFC side of things. You're obviously not seeing Mahomes or Burrow. Lamar might not even make the field. And if Allen gets knocked out, losing to a Bo Nix or a Drake May or a Trevor Lawrence or kind of a kid like that is going to be a bad look for the Rams.
Text line from the 615 says, Sammy, are you aware your intro music just sounded like the beginning of the song I Touch Myself? What song did you play, Sammy?
I played Back in the Saddle by Aerosmith. Does that sound like...
To be honest, I've never heard the song I Touch Myself. I did a quick Google search. It's by a band called the Divinyls.
Did you Google that on company computers?
You're damn right.
HR is actually running in here as we speak, wondering why Ben Fletcher is looking up I Touch Myself during his show at 1:42 in the afternoon.
It's going to take a long time for them to get here all the way from Texas, Sammy. So we're okay. That's where the HR department is these days. I do believe
it's in Texas.
I do believe that's true. I'm not 100%.
I thought every cluster has to have an HR rep.
The fact that we haven't had a meeting with one of them here in San Diego in quite a while leads me to believe that I am correct. So yes, I will Google that on my computer.
Who's the Toby of iHeart San Diego?
Oh, dude, Toby's the worst. I don't think we have one.
You know what the best though about Toby?
That was a great Office reference. If you
he wrote most of the show.
He wrote a lot of the show. I wouldn't say most. Mindy Kaling
and BJ Novak.
BJ Novak wrote a lot of the show, but Greg Daniels is the writer of The Office.
Okay,
but they were
head writers.
They all wrote episodes. But Toby Flenderson, I think more than a lot of them. Our boy Salvador's on the YouTube chat says, "Vamos Aztecas, les vamos a ganar."
Yes.
That means something along the lines of "Let's go Aztecs." They win the game.
Dude, Salvador's I got to learn Spanish so I can just not have to Google Translate what Salvador's saying.
I feel like I got the main parts of that one. Let's go Aztecs. They win the game. I don't know what that.
Dude, shout out to Salvador, man.
Something about Arizona. They're going to Arizona.
They're going to Arizona.
Saturday.
They're going to play on Saturday.
Boom.
Salvador, dude, you're the best, bro. I appreciate you listening.
Let's go Aztecs. Let's go win a game in Arizona on Saturday.
Yes.
That's what he said.
Can you think about the opportunity? I know we're going to break, but think about the opportunity the Aztecs have. We talked about this on the pregame show all night last night, but it is amazing that after the start of the season that we look at and probably not what we saw coming in and with some missed opportunities in the players era, it really is that magic wand and you get a golden opportunity and the Aztecs certainly can do it. It's not going to be easy. Arizona rightfully should be favored, but like the Aztecs have the players to pull off a game like this.
My guy, Sammy Long. Fin that in when we did not have time because we got to give away some tickets right now. San Diego Sports 760 is sending you to go see Zach Bryan.
Zach B.
July 31st, Snapdragon Stadium. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. If you want to win those, let's give them out to number 13. How about that? That was our number yesterday. BJ Davis scored the right amount of points. 877-767-4760. You want to go see Zach Bryan? Now is your opportunity to go for free by calling 877-767-4760. Caller number 13. You're going to the show. It's San Diego Sports 760. You're listening live on the iHeartRadio app. Well, if you're with us yesterday and you played along at 12:45 when Sammy gave out his long shots, you made a little bit of money last night because Sammy had a twosie for us. The twosie cashed. And
a little deuce for everyone.
Tonight we got a threesie, which doesn't sound nearly as cool as a twosie. But Sammy, you want to recap what we got going on coming up tonight?
Let me, yes, we got Keontae George. We got one NBA pick over 27 points against my Lakers. Again, I'm pulling for my Lakers, but I do think Keontae George in the first 2 games against the Lakers this season has been averaging 30 points. Really superstar young guard. And the Lakers are 28th in defending the 3-pointer. Keontae George should be able to take advantage of that tonight. We got Kyron Williams in the NFL game. More than 71.5 rush and receiving yards. Supposed to be raining all night long. Devontae Adams not going to be there. Going to have to go a little bit more ground and pound on for the Rams offense. And then on the Seattle side, despite it raining, I think this is a massive game for Sam Darnold. His numbers depressed a little bit because of the 4 interceptions he threw in Los Angeles last month. More than 224.5 pass yards. I think they open it up a little bit. The Rams' one weakness is corner. I think he makes the right adjustments and he hits that over on passing yards.
I like it a lot. I really do. Now the Seahawks are favored by 1.5 in this game tonight, which you're going to hear right here on San Diego Sports 760. Rams, Seahawks, massive NFC ramifications in this game. Whoever wins this one controls their own fate in the NFC on a path to a potential 1 seed in the NFC postseason. So Seattle favored by 1.5, which what does that tell you? Well, if you want to go the old gambling way, it tells you that on a neutral site, Rams would be favored by 2.5 points. So Rams would be favored by a field goal. Obviously, not a neutral site. SoFi is a indoor stadium that they classify as like an indoor-outdoor stadium in Los Angeles. Like the sides are kind of open, but it's a dome. It's a roof. Seattle, very much not an indoor stadium. One of the loudest stadiums in the country. Sammy, have you been to Lumen Field? You lived
I have
up there
multiple times. It is very loud. They say because they built it with the hang,
right?
That the yelling and the noise shoots up and then comes back down. That's why it's one of the toughest places to play.
Phrasing, built it with the hang. But yes, it is built with a hang, as Sammy would say.
A hanger.
One of the loudest stadiums in the country, along with actually Arrowhead. So the 2 places Sammy goes to frequently are the 2 loudest places.
I don't go frequently. I've been because I lived in Seattle for a few years.
Sure. So those 2 places. But Seattle tonight, it's going to be a massive home field advantage, one of the best ones in the NFL, and supposedly going to be a ton of rain in tonight's game. I don't exactly know who that favors, if I'm being honest. In my gut, I would say it might favor the Rams, actually, because Matthew Stafford is a veteran. Matthew Stafford has dealt with this. He played in the NFC North for a long time, and while the Lions played in an indoor place, is that right? The Lions indoor?
Yeah, Ford Field.
But he played in the Packers at Lambeau in a bunch of weather. So you look at Matthew Stafford, and I do think that the rain, the elements, it actually benefits him in this game more so than Sam Darnold. But that home field advantage, man, I don't know where I'm going with this pick. I want the Seahawks to win, but I'm trying to think what I think is going to happen.
Well, give us your pick. It's time. We got 50 seconds left in the show.
Seahawks win this game. They win it 35.
Wow.
24 in a shootout.
So you're blasting the over-under. That over-under set at 42.5 right now.
Shootout tonight, baby. Let's go.
All right, you're going to go Seahawks. I'm going to go Seahawks as well, but I do not think it's an over. I think this is 21-17 Seahawks win.
So we're both going Seahawks. Sam is going under. I'm going over.
Yeah, you're going to go over. So
we'll see what happens.
Get your Rams tickets in now, everyone.
Yeah, John and Jim will take you right up to kickoff in this one. I believe JB Long on the call for the Rams. He will take over around 5:15 tonight at San Diego Sports 760. We'll see you tomorrow. Congratulations to
Tommy
winning those Zach Bryan tickets. John and Jim have more coming up next.